Commander HFY stood in the center of the Great Hall. The Galactic Council chamber was huge. Bright lights came from the ceiling. Hundreds of alien beings sat in their seats. They all looked at him with different kinds of eyes. Some had 6 eyes. Others had no eyes at all. But they all watched him. HFY wore his best uniform. The blue fabric was clean and pressed. On his chest, he had medals from Earth's military. But here, in this place, the medals meant nothing. The aliens did not care about human awards. Ambassador Minji sat behind him. She was Earth's best diplomat. She knew many alien languages. She had studied their cultures for years, but today she looked worried. Her hands were folded in her lap. She knew what was coming. Honored Council, HFY began. His voice was clear and strong. I come here today to ask for protected world status for Earth. My planet needs your help. A sound like laughter came from the alien seats. It was not the kind of laughter humans made. This was cold and mean. It came from Velthar, the admiral of the Crystalline Empire. His body was made of living glass. Light moved through him when he spoke. Protected status? Velthar's voice sounded like breaking glass. For what reason would we protect Earth? It is just a small world of water and weak creatures. HFY did not let the insult make him angry. He had prepared for this. He pressed a button on his device. A picture of Earth appeared in the air above him. The blue and green planet looked beautiful and peaceful. Earth may look calm, HFY said, but it is one of the most dangerous worlds in the galaxy. We call it a death world. The gravity is strong. The weather is violent. The animals are deadly. The plants can kill you. Even the air can burn your lungs if you are not from Earth. More laughter came from the council. This time it was louder. Crix, the speaker for the Swarm Collective, made a buzzing sound. The swarm was like a giant beehive. All their thoughts were connected. When one laughed, they all laughed. Strong gravity. Crix buzzed. We have conquered worlds with gravity 10 times stronger than yours. Violent weather. We have lived through solar storms. Dangerous animals. We eat creatures that would terrify your species. HFY showed more pictures. He showed tigers hunting. He showed hurricanes destroying cities. He showed volcanoes exploding. He showed diseases that killed millions. But the aliens just laughed harder. Nothka, the war chief of the Scaled Dominion, stood up. His species looked like giant lizards. They had ruled their part of space for 1,000 years. They had conquered hundreds of worlds. Human, Nothka hissed. You speak of your world like it is special, but I have seen your cities. They are made of metal and glass. Your people wear clothes because their skin is too weak. Your weapons are simple machines that shoot metal pieces. How can such weak creatures come from a dangerous world? HFY tried to explain. We are strong because our world made us strong. Every day on Earth is a fight to live. Our bodies learn to heal fast. Our minds learn to solve problems. Our spirits learn to never give up. We are not weak. We are survivors. But the aliens would not listen. They whispered to each other in their strange languages. Some made clicking sounds. Others spoke in colors that changed on their skin. But HFY could tell what they were thinking. They thought humans were lying. Ambassador Minji stood up. She walked to stand beside HFY. Her voice was calm but firm. Honored Council, she said. I must warn you. Do not think Earth is an easy target. Yes, we want peace. Yes, we ask for protection. But this is not because we are weak. It is because we know what war costs. We know what death means. We have lived with both for all of human history. Velthar made a sound like glass breaking. Is that a threat, little human? It is a fact, Minji replied. Earth has made us what we are. Every human child grows up learning to survive. We learn to fight storms, diseases, predators, and each other. We are not threatening you. We are warning you. The laughter stopped for a moment. The great hall became quiet. But then Crix started buzzing again. Warning us, the swarm speaker said. We are the Swarm Collective. We have billions of warriors. Our ships block out suns. Our weapons can crack planets. And you warn us about a world of soft-skinned mammals? Nothka nodded his great scaled head. The Scaled Dominion has ruled for millennia. We have turned gas giants into battlefields. We have made stars into weapons. Your tiny world of water and dirt does not scare us. Velthar's crystal body flashed with light. The Crystalline Empire spans 1,000 systems. We have seen real death worlds. Worlds of acid rain and metal-eating storms. Worlds where the ground is made of diamonds and the sky burns with radiation. Earth is a garden world compared to what we have conquered. The three alien leaders looked at each other. Hyuk could see something passing between them. Some kind of agreement? They were planning something. Very well, Velthar said to the council. Let us vote on Earth's request for protection. The vote was fast. Most aliens voted no. They did not think Earth needed protection. They thought it was just another weak world asking for help. After the vote, the three alien leaders met in a corner of the Great Hall. They thought they were being quiet. But Minji heard them. She had learned their language as well. A world of such rich resources, Velthar whispered, should not be wasted on such weak creatures. The humans have metals we need. Crix buzzed softly. Their planet has water and good soil. It would make a fine farming world. And their cities would make good practice targets for our young warriors, Nothka added with a cruel smile. Minji felt cold fear in her stomach. She had been right to worry. The aliens were not just refusing to protect Earth. They were planning to attack it. She walked back to Hyuk. We need to leave, she whispered. Now. As they walked toward the exit, Velthar called out to them. Do not look so sad, humans. Perhaps in time your species will learn what real strength means. When we visit your world, we will teach you. The other aliens laughed again. They thought this was very funny. The idea of conquering Earth seemed like a game to them. Hyuk stopped walking. He turned around slowly. His face was calm, but his eyes were hard. Admiral Velthar, he said in a clear voice. Ambassador Minji tried to warn you politely. Let me be more direct. Earth is not a garden world. It is a death world. Class 12. The highest danger rating in your own classification system. If you come to Earth looking for an easy fight, you will not find one. You will find something much worse. And what is that? Velthar asked, still laughing. You will find humans on their home ground, Hyuk replied. And we have spent 3 million years learning how to kill everything our planet has thrown at us. Everything. The laughter died away. For just a moment, the Great Hall was quiet. But then the aliens started laughing again, louder than before. As Hyuk and Minji left the chamber, they could hear the aliens making their plans. They would gather their fleets. They would come to Earth in 6 months. They expected to conquer the planet in a few days. Minji looked at Hyuk as their ship prepared to leave. Do you think they will really attack? Hyuk nodded. Yes, they think we are weak. They think Earth is just another target. Should we be afraid? Minji asked. Hyuk smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who knew a secret that others did not. No, he said. We should not be afraid. But they should be. They have no idea what they are walking into. Earth has been training us for this fight for millions of years, and we are very, very good students. As their ship flew away from Nexus Prime, the three alien empires began gathering their forces. They planned for a quick and easy victory. They planned to divide Earth's resources among themselves. They had no idea that Earth was already planning to divide something else among its children. It was planning to divide their fleets into very small pieces. 6 months had passed since the meeting at the Galactic Council. The alien fleets now hung in space above Earth like dark clouds. 3 massive armadas had come together. Each one was bigger than any human had ever seen. Captain Jaewon stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Station. He watched the alien ships through the big window. There were thousands of them. Some were as big as cities. Others moved like schools of fish through the black of space. How many? Asked Dr. Soo-young. She stood beside him, looking up at the enemy fleet. Her medical bag was ready. She knew there would be wounded soon. Too many to count, Jaewon replied, but not too many to kill. Jaewon had been a Marine before this job. He had fought in wars on Earth. He had seen men die in mud and rain. He had learned to use everything as a weapon. The ground, the weather, the darkness. Today, he would use the whole planet. Far above them, Admiral Velthar stood in his crystal ship. Everything around him was made of living glass. He could see through the walls of his ship. Below him, Earth looked blue and green and peaceful. Begin the invasion, he commanded. This should take no more than 3 of their days. The first wave of ships entered Earth's atmosphere. These were crystalline Empire vessels. They were beautiful ships made of clear crystal. Light moved through them like water, but something went wrong almost immediately. Admiral, one of his officers called out. The atmospheric entry is causing damage to our hulls. Velthar could not believe it. That is impossible. Our ships are made of the strongest crystal in the galaxy. But it was not impossible. It was chemistry. Earth's atmosphere had more oxygen than most worlds. Much more. The crystal ships were made for thin air and different gases. Earth's thick oxygen-rich air was like acid to them. It ate away at their hulls. The beautiful crystal ships began to turn gray and rough. Cracks appeared in their walls. Some ships broke apart before they even reached the ground. "This cannot be happening," Velthar whispered. "It is just air." The second wave belonged to the Swarm Collective. Millions of small ships poured down from space like rain. Each ship carried dozens of swarm soldiers. They were insects the size of dogs. They moved together like one giant creature. But the swarm had made a mistake too. They came from worlds with thin air. Their bodies were made for low pressure and different gases. Earth's thick atmosphere was like trying to breathe soup. The moment their ships opened, the swarm soldiers began to die. They could not breathe. The air was too thick, too heavy, too rich. They fell to the ground gasping. Their wings could not work in the heavy air. Their lungs could not process the oxygen. Crix watched in horror from the command ship. The mental link between all swarm members carried their pain and fear. Thousands of voices screamed in the collective mind. "Retreat," Crix commanded. "The atmosphere is poison." But it was too late. Most of the first wave was already dead or dying. The third wave was the Scaled Dominion. They were the most confident. Their worlds were hot and dry like deserts. They thought Earth would be easy for them. Nothka led them down personally. His huge ship landed in what the humans called the Amazon jungle. It seemed like a good place to start. Lots of plants and animals to hunt. Plenty of space for his warriors to spread out. The moment the ship doors opened, Nothka knew something was wrong. The air hit him like a wall of water. It was not just thick. It was wet. So wet he could barely breathe. "What is this?" he gasped. "Humidity," said Captain Jawan, speaking into his radio from hundreds of miles away. He was watching everything through cameras hidden in the trees. "Welcome to the rainforest. Hope you brought an umbrella." The Scaled Dominion warriors poured out of their ships. They were big creatures like dragons that walked on two legs. They had thick scales and sharp claws. On their desert worlds, they were unstoppable predators. But this was not a desert world. This was a jungle. The air was so humid it felt like breathing water. Rain began to fall almost immediately. Not gentle rain, hard, heavy rain that soaked through everything. The scaled warriors had never experienced anything like it. Their scales, which protected them from desert heat, now trapped water against their skin. They began to shiver. They began to slip in the mud. Their weapons got wet and stopped working. Then the jungle started fighting back. The trees here had been growing for millions of years. They had learned to defend themselves from every kind of attack. Some had thorns the size of swords. Others had bark that oozed poison. Many had roots that could trip an unwary foot. But the real danger came from the animals. Jaguars watched from the branches above. They had never seen creatures like these aliens before, but they knew prey when they saw it. The scaled warriors were big, but they were clumsy in the wet jungle. They made too much noise. They smelled strange and afraid. The first jaguar attack came at sunset. The big cat dropped from a tree onto the back of a scaled warrior. Its claws found the spaces between scales. Its teeth found the soft throat beneath the armor. The warrior died without making a sound. What was that? Nothka demanded. No one answered. No one had seen the attack. The jungle was too thick, too dark, but they could smell the blood. More attacks came through the night. Snakes as thick as telephone poles wrapped around warriors and crushed them. Spiders the size of dinner plates bit them with venom that stopped their hearts. Ants marched in columns and ate them alive, one small bite at a time. By morning, Nothka had lost half his landing force, and they had not seen a single human soldier yet. Meanwhile, the crystalline ships that had survived the atmosphere were trying to land in other parts of Earth. Some chose the mountains, thinking the high ground would be safe. They were wrong. Pilot Minho flew his fighter through the mountain peaks. He had grown up in these mountains. He knew every wind current, every updraft, every place where the air turned dangerous. The crystal ships were beautiful, but they were not made for Earth's wild weather. Wind hit them from directions they did not expect. Updrafts threw them against mountainsides. Downdrafts slammed them into valleys. "This is impossible," one crystal pilot said over the radio. "The air moves like it is alive." "It is alive," Minho replied, though the alien could not hear him. "And it does not like visitors. The surviving swarm ships tried to land in the deserts. They thought the dry air would be easier to breathe. They were partly right, but they had picked the Sahara Desert in summer. At noon, the temperature was over 120 degrees Fahrenheit. The swarm creatures, used to cool, dark hive worlds, began to cook in their own shells. The sand reflected the sun like a mirror, blinding them. The heat made their equipment fail. Dr. Su-Yung watched the reports coming in from around the world. Everywhere the aliens had landed, the same story was repeating. Earth was fighting them, not just the humans. The whole planet. How many casualties do we have? Captain Jaewon asked her. Among our forces? Almost none, she replied. The aliens are too busy fighting the weather to fight us. In the jungle, they are losing soldiers to animals and disease. In the mountains, they are crashing into cliffs. In the desert, they are dying of heat stroke, Jaewon nodded. This was going better than he had hoped. And their numbers? Down by 60% in the first day. And that's just from environmental factors. We have not even started shooting at them yet. High above, the 3 alien commanders tried to understand what was happening. Their perfect invasion was falling apart. Their advanced weapons were useless against an enemy they could not see or touch. It is just a planet, Velthar said. But his voice was not as confident as before. We have conquered planets before. Not like this one, Crix buzzed. The swarm collective mind was filled with pain and confusion from the dying soldiers below. This world fights back, it thinks. It plans like planets do not think, Nothka growled. But he was watching his warriors die in the jungle, and he was beginning to wonder. Captain Jaewon stood on a hilltop, looking out over the battlefield. The alien ships were scattered across the landscape like broken toys. Some were stuck in mud, others were buried in snow. A few were being slowly eaten by jungle vines that grew faster than the aliens could cut them back. Should we attack now? Asked one of his officers. Jaewon shook his head. Not yet. Let Earth soften them up a little more. Then we will show them what humans can do when we are really trying. In the distance, thunder rolled across the sky. A storm was coming. A big one. Jaewon smiled. He loved storms. They made everything more interesting. The aliens did not love storms. They were about to learn why humans called their world a death world, and they were about to discover that the planet was just getting started. The real fight had not even begun yet. 3 days had passed since the invasion began. The alien commanders could not believe what they were seeing. Their mighty fleets were being destroyed by plants, animals, and weather. Not by human weapons, by the planet itself. Sergeant Hunwell crouched in the thick jungle undergrowth. He had been born in these forests. His grandfather had taught him to move like a shadow. His father had shown him which plants would heal and which would kill. Now he used all that knowledge to hunt aliens. Through his binoculars, he watched a group of scaled Dominion warriors trying to set up a base camp. They had picked a spot near a river. It looked safe to them. Hunwell knew better. The river looked calm and clean. But Hunwell knew what lived in these waters. Caimans as long as cars waited just below the surface. Electric eels that could stop a heart with one touch. Piranhas that could strip flesh from bone in minutes. He did not need to attack the aliens himself. He just needed to wait. One of the scaled warriors went to the river to fill his water container. The moment his clawed hand touched the water, something grabbed it. The caiman that pulled him under was 20 feet long and had been alive since before the aliens had learned to fly between stars. The warrior's scream echoed through the jungle. His friends ran to help, but there was nothing left to save. Just red water and bubbles, one down. Hunwell whispered into his radio. Planet Earth 1. Invaders 0. Miles away, Commander Dai-Young was having similar success in the Arctic. The Swarm Collective had tried to establish a base on the ice. They thought the cold would be easier to handle than the jungle heat. They were wrong. The swarm creatures were insects. Cold made them slow and stupid. But they did not realize how cold Earth's polar regions could be. The temperature dropped to 40 below zero. The wind blew at 60 miles per hour. Snow fell so thick they could not see their own feet. Commander Dai-Young did not even need to fight them. She just watched through her thermal scope as they froze to death one by one. Their bodies shut down like machines running out of power. Some tried to huddle together for warmth, but there was no warmth to be found. This is Commander Dai-Young, she reported. Sector 7 is clear. The cold took care of them for us. But the most interesting battle was happening in Dr. Wu Sung's laboratory. He was not a soldier. He was a biologist. His weapons were not guns or bombs. They were much smaller and much more deadly. Dr. Wusung studied the alien bodies that had been recovered from the battlefields. He learned amazing things. The aliens were strong and tough, but they had no defense against Earth's microscopic life. Every alien species had evolved on worlds with clean air and pure water. They had never developed immunity to bacteria and viruses. Earth was full of tiny life forms that had been fighting each other for billions of years. They were the ultimate survivors. Fascinating, Dr. Wusung said as he examined alien blood under his microscope. Their white blood cells have no idea how to fight our common cold virus. He began to develop biological weapons. Not new diseases, old ones. Earth diseases that every human child survived. Chickenpox, the flu, even simple food poisoning became deadly weapons against aliens who had never been exposed to them. Meanwhile, the alien commanders were getting desperate. Admiral Velthar had lost half his crystal fleet to weather and atmospheric corrosion. His beautiful ships were falling apart like sandcastles in the rain. "This cannot continue," he said to the other commanders during their emergency meeting. "We are losing soldiers faster than we can count them." Crix's buzzing was weak and tired. The swarm collective mind was full of pain from dying soldiers. The planet fights us at every turn. Even the air we breathe is our enemy. "Perhaps we should retreat," Nothka suggested. His proud voice now sounded uncertain. "Regroup and plan a better attack." But Admiral Velthar's pride would not let him give up. "No, we are the greatest military powers in the galaxy. We will not be defeated by a world of primitive mammals." He ordered a new strategy. Instead of spreading out across the planet, all three fleets would concentrate their forces in one area. They would work together to establish one strong base. From there, they could conquer the rest of the planet. They chose the Amazon rainforest. It seemed like the safest option. Just trees and animals. How dangerous could it be? Sergeant Hunnell laughed when he heard about their plan. "They want to fight the jungle?" he said to his team. "The jungle has been waiting for this for 65 million years. The alien fleets gathered above the Amazon. Thousands of ships blotted out the sun. They began landing in a coordinated assault. This time they thought nothing could go wrong. Everything went wrong. The moment the first ships touched the ground, the jungle came alive. Vines began growing over the ships faster than the aliens could cut them. Trees dropped branches as heavy as cars onto landing craft. The ground itself seemed to move and shift, swallowing vehicles whole, but the real nightmare began when the animals got involved. The Amazon jungle contained more species of deadly creatures than anywhere else on Earth. Army ants marched in, columns million strong. Poison dart frogs sat on every leaf. Anacondas as thick as tree trunks hung from every branch. The aliens had never seen anything like it. Their worlds had predators, but nothing like this. Earth had spent 4 billion years perfecting the art of killing. A group of crystal warriors tried to march through what looked like an empty clearing. They stepped on a colony of bullet ants. The ants' bites caused pain worse than being shot. The warriors rolled on the ground screaming while the ants swarmed over them. Swarm soldiers tried to fly above the danger. Harpy eagles, the most powerful birds in the Americas, knocked them out of the sky. The eagles had never seen insects this big before. To them, the aliens looked like a feast. Scaled warriors, confident in their armor, walked into the rivers. They met caimans and anacondas that had been the kings of these waters for millions of years. The ancient reptiles welcomed their new cousins with open jaws. "Report," Admiral Velthar demanded from his command ship. "We have lost contact with 70% of ground forces," his lieutenant replied. "The survivors are reporting attacks by everything. The entire ecosystem is hostile." "That is impossible," Velthar said. "Animals do not coordinate attacks." But that was where he was wrong. The jungle did coordinate. Not through intelligence the way humans did. Through 4 billion years of evolution, every species had learned to work together to defend their home. The jungle was one giant organism, and the aliens were an infection. Dr. Wusung was amazed by the reports coming in. "It is incredible," he told his research team. "The planet is fighting back like a single living creature. Every species is participating. Even the plants joined the battle. Strangler figs wrapped around alien equipment and crushed it. Kapok trees dropped their spiny seed pods like bombs. Bamboo grew through metal hulls and split ships apart from the inside. The aliens tried to use their advanced weapons, energy beams that could melt mountains, bombs that could crack continents. But you cannot shoot at an entire ecosystem. For every tree they destroyed, 10 more grew. For every animal they killed, 100 more took its place. Commander Dayong, watching from her command post, shook her head in amazement. They still do not understand, she said. They think they are fighting humans, but they are fighting Earth itself. The jungle had one more surprise for the invaders. The rain came. Amazonian rain was not like rain anywhere else. It fell in sheets so thick you could not see your hand in front of your face. It turned dirt into quicksand. It filled rivers until they exploded out of their banks. It brought down trees that had stood for centuries. The aliens had no experience with rain like this. Their equipment failed. Their communications went dead. Their vehicles sank into the mud. In minutes, the organized invasion became scattered groups of lost and frightened soldiers. Sergeant Hanol did not even need to hunt them anymore. He just followed the sounds of their distress calls and collected their abandoned weapons. Earth was doing all the work for him. By the end of the week, the 3 mighty alien fleets had been reduced to a few thousand survivors. They huddled in their remaining ships, afraid to step outside. The planet waited for them like a patient predator. We must retreat, Nothka finally admitted. This world is cursed. It is not cursed, Crix buzzed weakly. It is alive, and it hates us. Admiral Velthar stared down at the green hell below. His crystal ships were covered in vines and moss. His proud fleet looked like ruins from an ancient civilization. How? He whispered. How can a world fight back? He did not know that human children learned the answer to that question before they could walk. Earth fought back because fighting was what it did best. Earth was not just a planet. It was 4 billion years of war compressed into one blue-green ball of pure survival instinct. And the humans? The humans were just Earth's favorite children. The ones who had learned the lessons best. The real war was about to begin. General Yunwu stood in the Global Command Center deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Around him, screens showed the battlefield that had once been an alien invasion. What he saw made him smile, but it was not a kind smile. The 3 alien fleets were broken, scattered, afraid. They had come to Earth expecting easy prey. Now they were the prey. Report, General Yunwu commanded. Enemy forces are down to 12% of original strength, reported his aide. They are trying to regroup for retreat. Most are hiding in their ships. Hiding? Lieutenant Nari asked from her position near the tactical display. She was Earth's best infiltration expert. Small and quick, she could move through enemy territory like a ghost. That will not save them, General Yunwu nodded. It is time to stop playing defense. Begin Operation Homecoming. Across the planet, human forces received their new orders. For a week, they had let Earth do most of the fighting. Now it was their turn. Engineer Cuman was the first to begin his part of the mission. He had spent the last few days studying wrecked alien ships and captured weapons. What he found surprised him. These aliens are amazing engineers, he told his team. Their weapons are incredibly advanced. Their ships use technology we have never seen before. But, asked his assistant, Cuman held up a crystal weapon that he had taken apart. But they made everything for their own worlds. Clean air, low gravity, controlled environments. They never planned to fight on a planet that wanted to kill them. He began to modify the alien weapons. He added earth metals that were toxic to alien biology. He changed the power sources to work in Earth's heavy atmosphere. He made the weapons better than their original builders had ever imagined. The aliens gave us the tools, Cuman said as he finished his work. Now we will use those tools to send them home. Lieutenant Nari was already using those tools. She had infiltrated a crystal ship that had crashed in the Australian outback. The aliens inside thought they were safe. They had sealed their ship and were waiting for rescue. They did not know that Lieutenant Nari had grown up in the outback. She knew how to survive in places that killed other people. Heat that would cook an alien was just a warm day to her. Snakes and spiders that terrified the invaders were old friends. She cut her way into the ship using a modified crystal cutter. The alien technology worked perfectly, even improved by Earth engineering. The crystal hull parted like butter. Inside, she found a dozen crystal beings huddled around their communication equipment. They were sending desperate messages to their fleet. Help us, they were saying. The planet is attacking us. The ground moves by itself. The sky rains poison. We cannot survive here. Lieutenant Nari listened to their fear and felt no pity. These beings had come to conquer Earth, to kill humans and take their world. Now they knew how it felt to be helpless. She did not kill them. She did something worse. She sabotaged their ship so it would never fly again. Then she left them there, trapped in the outback with the heat and the snakes and the spiders. Earth would finish what she had started. Meanwhile, General Yunwu was coordinating the global counterattack. Human forces emerged from hiding all over the planet. They moved like shadows, striking alien positions and disappearing before the invaders could respond. But the humans were not alone. Earth itself had joined the battle. The planet's weather systems had been disturbed by the alien landing ships. Now those systems were fighting back. Hurricanes formed in hours instead of days. Tornadoes appeared in places that had never seen them before. Lightning struck with deadly accuracy. In the Pacific Ocean, Admiral Sianho led Earth's new naval force. They were sailing in ships made from salvaged alien technology. The vessels could move underwater like submarines or fly through the air like aircraft. They were weapons that the aliens had given to their enemies without meaning to. Target the retreat routes, Admiral Sianho commanded. Do not let any of them escape to their homeworlds. His ships moved like sharks through the water and eagles through the air. They hunted the remaining alien vessels with deadly efficiency. The aliens had taught them well. The crystal ships tried to hide in Earth's rings of space debris. But humans had been living in space for decades. They knew every piece of junk, every satellite, every hiding place. There was nowhere the aliens could go that humans had not been first. The swarm ships tried to flee by diving deep into the ocean. They thought the pressure would crush human pursuit. They forgot that humans had been to the bottom of their deepest trenches, places where the weight of water could crush diamond. The modified human vessels followed them into the abyss. The scaled Dominion tried to escape through Earth's polar regions. They thought the ice and cold would stop human ships. They did not know that humans had been exploring the Arctic and Antarctic for centuries. Every iceberg was mapped. Every current was known. Engineer Cuman's modified weapons made the hunt even more deadly. The alien technology, improved with Earth materials, was perfect for space combat. Crystal lasers that could cut through any armor. Swarm missiles that thought like living creatures. Scaled plasma cannons that never missed. It is beautiful, Cuman said as he watched his creations work. They brought us the finest weapons in the galaxy, and we made them better. But the most terrifying part of the human counterattack was not the weapons or the ships. It was the humans themselves. The aliens had expected to fight soldiers, professional warriors like themselves. Instead, they found themselves fighting an entire species that had been trained for war by the most dangerous planet in the galaxy. Every human was a survivor. Every human had grown up learning to fight for resources, to endure pain, to overcome obstacles that would stop other species. They did not give up. They did not retreat. They did not surrender. Lieutenant Nari struck another alien base in the Sahara Desert. The swarm creatures there had thought they were safe behind energy shields and automated defenses. They forgot that humans had been crossing deserts for thousands of years. She came at them during a sandstorm, when their sensors were blind and their communications were dead. She moved through the swirling sand like a ghost, disabling their equipment and trapping them in their own base. When the storm passed, the aliens found themselves surrounded by the desert they had tried to use as shelter. No water, no food, no way to call for help. Just sand and heat and death waiting patiently. General Yunwu watched the reports flood in from around the world. Every human team was succeeding beyond his best hopes. The aliens who had laughed at Earth's defenses were learning why humans called their world home. Status report, he requested. Enemy forces are down to 3% of original strength, his aide replied. Most are trapped on the surface with no way to escape. The remainder are trying to flee the system. Let them go? Asked one of his officers. General Yunwu shook his head. No. We cannot let them return to their worlds with knowledge of Earth's location. And we cannot let them think this was just bad luck. They need to understand what happens when you attack a Deathworld. Admiral Sianho's fleet was already moving to intercept the fleeing aliens. The modified ships could travel faster than anything the aliens had ever built. They caught up with the retreat fleet near Jupiter. The battle was short and brutal. The alien ships were designed for fighting other aliens in controlled environments. The human ships were designed by Earth's children, who had learned that there were no rules in a real fight. Weapons struck from impossible angles. Ships appeared out of nowhere and vanished like ghosts. The aliens found themselves fighting an enemy that moved like the storms and earthquakes and predators of Earth itself. When it was over, only a few alien ships remained intact. They floated dead in space, their crews unconscious or worse. Admiral Sionho's forces captured them all. Back on Earth, the last alien ground forces were being rounded up by human teams. Most had been killed by the planet itself. The survivors were found hiding in caves and ruins in the wreckage of their own ships. They were not the proud warriors who had laughed at human warning 6 months ago. They were broken creatures who jumped at shadows and screamed at the sound of rain. Engineer Cumin studied the prisoners with scientific interest. "Look at them," he said to his team. "These are members of the 3 most powerful military forces in the galaxy. Now they are afraid of clouds. What did they expect?" Lieutenant Nari asked. "They came to fight humans, but they ended up fighting Earth. And Earth has been killing things for 4 billion years." General Yunwu looked at the final casualty reports. The numbers were incredible. In less than 2 weeks, 3 massive alien fleets had been reduced to a handful of survivors. Earth's casualties were minimal. Most had been caused by accidents, not enemy action. "How many aliens are left alive?" he asked. "About 200, his aide replied. "Most are in medical care. They are suffering from diseases, poisoning, psychological trauma, and various injuries caused by Earth's wildlife." General Yunwu nodded. "Good, make sure they survive. They have a story to tell." He turned to look at the big screen that showed Earth from space. The blue and green planet looked peaceful and beautiful. You could not tell from orbit that it had just eaten 3 alien fleets. "Prepare the survivors for transport," General Yunwu ordered. "Send them back to the Galactic Council. Let them tell everyone what happens when you mock a Deathworld." The Galactic Council chamber was silent as death. The same hall that had echoed with laughter 6 months ago now felt like a tomb. The alien representatives sat in their seats, but none of them spoke. They all stared at the broken creatures in the center of the room. Admiral Velthar was barely recognizable. His crystal body was clouded and cracked. Parts of him had turned gray from atmospheric corrosion. His proud shoulders were bent with defeat. When he tried to speak, his voice sounded like grinding glass. We went to Earth," he whispered. "We thought it would be easy." Crix was even worse. The Swarm Collective had lost 97% of its members. The hive mind that had once connected billions was now just the scattered thoughts of a few hundred survivors. Crix's buzzing was weak and broken like a dying insect. "The planet, it thinks," Crix said, and the words carried the terror of the entire swarm. "It hunts, it plans, it kills." Nuthka, the proud warrior chief of the Scaled Dominion, was the worst of all. His species was nearly extinct. Of the millions who had gone to Earth, fewer than 50 remained alive. His scales had fallen out in patches. His eyes darted around the room like those of a hunted animal. "They warned us," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "The humans warned us. They said it was a death world." We laughed. The other alien representatives shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Many of them had laughed too. They had thought Earth was just another primitive world to be conquered or ignored. Commander Hayuk entered the chamber with Ambassador Minji beside him. They looked exactly the same as they had 6 months ago. Calm, confident, unafraid. The contrast with the broken alien survivors was shocking. "Honored Council," Commander Hugh said, his voice carrying clearly through the silent hall. "I believe you requested a report on the recent events at Earth." The council speaker, an ancient being from a species older than most stars, nodded slowly. "Please, explain what happened." Ambassador Minji stepped forward. She looked at the shattered alien commanders with something that might have been pity, but her voice was steady and calm. "What happened was exactly what we told you would happen," she said. "Earth defended itself, as it always has, as it always will." Admiral Velthar raised his broken head. "Your planet is evil," he whispered. "It is not natural. No world should be able to fight like that." Commander Hayuk almost smiled. "Evil? No, Admiral. Earth is not evil. It is simply alive, and it has been alive for 4.5 billion years. In all that time, it has learned one lesson very well." "What lesson?" asked the council speaker. "Survival," Minji replied. "Everything on Earth learns to survive or it dies. The plants learn to poison anything that tries to eat them. The animals learn to hunt, to hide, to fight. The weather learns to be violent and unpredictable. Even the rocks learn to shift and crack at the worst possible moments. And the humans?" Crix buzzed weakly. "We learned best of all," Hayek said simply. "We learned to use everything as a weapon. The ground beneath our feet, the air we breathe, the storms that rage above us. We learned that there are no rules in a fight for survival." Nothka began to laugh. It was not a healthy sound. "You did not fight us," he said. You let your world eat us alive. You watched as we died from diseases and weather and animals. Where is the honor in that? The chamber fell silent again. Commander Hayuk looked at the scaled warrior with steady eyes. Honor? Yuk said quietly. You came to our world uninvited. You came to kill our people and steal our resources. You came because you thought we were weak and defenseless. And you ask about honor? He stepped closer to the broken alien commanders. Let me tell you about honor, Nothka. Honor is protecting your family. Honor is defending your home. Honor is making sure that those who threaten your children never get the chance to threaten anyone else's children. We use the tools our world gave us, Minji added. The same tools we have used for millions of years. The same tools that made us strong enough to survive on a death world. If you think that is dishonorable, then you understand nothing about survival. The council speaker leaned forward in his ancient chair. How many casualties did you suffer? Fewer than 1,000, Hyuk replied. Most from accidents or equipment failures. Very few from actual combat with alien forces. The number sent a wave of shock through the chamber. 3 massive fleets reduced to nearly nothing, while losing barely 1,000 defenders. Impossible, someone whispered from the alien seats. Not impossible, Minji said. Inevitable. This is what happens when you attack a death world. This is what happens when you threaten Earth's children. Admiral Velthar struggled to his feet. His cracked crystal body swayed like a tree in the wind. We had weapons that could destroy stars, ships that could crack planets, armies that had conquered 1,000 worlds. And none of that mattered, Hyuk said gently, because you were not fighting armies or weapons or ships. You were fighting 4.5 billion years of evolution. You were fighting a world that had learned to kill before your species had learned to think. The humans barely needed to fight us. Crix buzzed in horror. They just guided us, like herding animals to slaughter. We guided you to places where Earth could teach you, Minji corrected. The jungle taught you about poison and predators. The desert taught you about heat and thirst. The ocean taught you about pressure and cold. The sky taught you about storms and lightning. What kind of children grow up in such a place? Nothka asked, his voice full of dread. The kind you do not want to fight, Hyuk replied. The council speaker raised one ancient hand. What? What do you want from us? Commander Hayuk and Ambassador Minji looked at each other. They had discussed this moment many times. We want what we asked for before, Minji said. Protected world status. Leave Earth alone. Leave humanity alone. Pretend we do not exist. And if we refuse? Asked someone from the back of the chamber. Hyuk's expression did not change. But somehow his presence seemed to fill the entire room. Then more fleets will come to Earth, and Earth will be happy to teach them the same lessons it taught these 3. But next time, Minji added quietly, we might not be so patient. Next time we might not wait for you to come to us. The threat hung in the air like smoke. For the first time, the Galactic Council was seeing humans not as primitive creatures asking for help, but as the apex predators of a world that specialized in creating apex predators. Admiral Seanho's voice came through the chamber's communication system. Earth fleet holding position at the edge of your system, he reported. Requesting permission to approach. Every alien in the chamber froze. The humans had brought ships. Ships built from the wreckage of 3 conquered fleets. Ships that had proven they could hunt down anything that tried to run. How many ships? The council speaker asked with a trembling voice. All of them, Admiral Seanho replied. Through the chamber's great windows, they could see lights in the darkness of space. Hundreds of lights, maybe thousands. The entire human fleet, built from alien technology and improved by Deathworld engineering. Vote, Commander Hayuk said simply. Vote now. The vote was unanimous. Earth was granted protected world status, the highest classification possible. No alien ship would be allowed within 50 light-years of the solar system without explicit human permission. But more than that, humanity was granted something that no species had ever received before. They were classified as an apex Deathworld species, the most dangerous classification in galactic law. Let this be recorded, the council speaker announced, his ancient voice carrying across the chamber and out to the galaxy beyond. Let all species know Earth is forbidden territory. Humanity is not to be threatened, provoked, or attacked. Any violation of this decree will be met with the full wrath of a Deathworld's children. As the human delegation prepared to leave, Admiral Velthar called out one last time. Why? He asked. Why did you let any of us live? Why did you not kill us all? Commander Hugh stopped and looked back at the broken crystal being. Because dead aliens cannot tell stories, he said. And this story needs to be told. The few alien survivors were loaded onto medical ships and sent back to their home worlds. They would spend the rest of their lives telling the tale of what happened when you mocked Earth, when you laughed at a death world, when you threatened humanity. Most people would not believe them at first. The idea that a single world could destroy 3 galactic fleets seemed impossible. But the evidence was undeniable. The fleets were gone. The survivors were broken. And somewhere in the dark of space, Earth continued its ancient orbit around an ordinary star. As the human ships departed from Nexus Prime, Ambassador Minji looked out at the stars. Do you think they learned their lesson? Commander Hyuk nodded. Some of them. The smart ones will stay away. The stupid ones will come eventually. And if they do come? Hyuk smiled, and for just a moment he looked like one of Earth's predators. Patient and deadly and absolutely certain of victory. Then Earth will teach them too, he said. It is a very good teacher. Behind them in the darkness of space, Earth waited. Blue and green and beautiful and patient. 4.5 billion years old and still learning new ways to kill. The galaxy had been warned. Most would listen. Some would not. Earth did not mind. It had all the time in the universe. And it had raised its children well.